This is episode 2 of Every Movie Ever. I'm your host, Michael Cwick, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Chad Whitney.
And we have 3 random movies again this week as we continue our journey on to reviewing every movie ever.
And they are...
different from each other?
Yeah. Definitely didn't see these in the same light as last week.
Yeah, we 2 weeks in found out how brutal the randomizing is going to treat us.
Yeah, but we're in this for you guys, so...
And for ourselves. We're in this for ourselves.
The power of Netflix. Yeah, it is mostly for ourselves.
Yeah,
yeah.
We have egos. We want to hear ourselves talk.
Yep. Plus, I want to watch every movie ever. Just didn't know it would hurt so bad to do so.
Yeah, 2 weeks in. Well, take last week, out of 3 movies, we enjoyed like 2 out of the 3. This week, 1.5 out of 3.
Yeah.
So the movies that we will talk about today are, first up would be Northern Borders. Second would be Mansfield Park, and then the third movie, Varsity Blues.
All right, so pretty much starting off with Northern Borders.
Yeah.
You want me to go into it?
Yeah, go. Let me pull up the Netflix description, but if you want to just give it a little bit of an intro to that.
So basically, Northern Borders is a movie about this kid whose dad just sent him away to live with his grandparents really, really randomly. But here's the official Netflix description. When his widowed father ships him off to family farm, a boy faces an eccentric rural culture and endless verbal combat between his grandparents.
Austin? I'm your grandfather. The meanest old bastard in Kingdom County.
My God, aren't you the spitting image of the doomed young pharaoh, King Tutankhamun?
Austin asked your grandma if she'd pass the butter.
Ask him not to call me Grandma. You're welcome, Mr. Kittredge.
If I wasn't here, would you and Grandpa even talk to each other?
No.
Hello, Dad? You're still coming up, right? It's just that I want to go home.
Tell your grandmother the men from the electric company will be here Monday. Check the lay of the land for the power wires.
Power wires to what?
You have to get to the house. They'll run a line to the house and one to my sawmill.
Through my orchard?
Everybody in Kingdom County is tying into the power grid, and that includes us.
I have been charged with delivering you this summons to appear in court tomorrow at 10 a.m. in the case of Kittredge versus Kittredge. They ain't nothing personal.
Neither is this.
Is it the case, Austin? Did you intend to uproot your wife's apple trees?
I'm not a rich man, but I need electricity like every other farm in this county.
If I want electric in my house, I'll get it. If I don't, I won't. Good day. All time is unredeemable. You can't go back. But time past is always present. How long does love last? What will a woman or man do for love? Ask him.
What I do up here is my business.
You've got to tell Mom.
Why?
These are family secrets. Family secrets? Go ahead. You want to share Mom's story with the world? Did Aunt Liz rob the bank?
Mrs. Kittredge, Federal Bureau of Investigation. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
If she didn't, she sure as hell should have. Who lives there?
Meanest old bastard in Kingdom County.
And you remember, you heard it first from me.
So this movie was filmed in 2013.
That's a good movie guy, or a terrible movie guy voice.
Yeah.
I'm sick,
that's why.
Yeah, this movie stars Bruce Dern as like the bitter old man, the bitter old grandfather. There's a kid actor. He's inoffensive.
That old man is cold as ice, and the little kid is the coolest kid ever.
So this is basically the like saddest, most down to earth episode of Hey Arnold I've ever seen.
Totally is.
Because the grandmother is basically the grandmother from Hey Arnold. She's kind of trippy, kind of out there. Like, what is her introduction? Like,
she sees her grandson and just instantly starts referring to him as King Tut and how this is Egypt. And pretty much everything she says throughout the movie was just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, dropping some real knowledge, but then you just took a hard left on me.
So this movie is just like a coming of age story for the kid, and just showing you just like two elderly people as they have grown apart and together and apart.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting drama in my opinion. Like,
yeah, it's
okay. Let's just go into the movie quickly.
Yeah.
The first thing we see is this kid getting off a train, apparently docking to meet his grandparents.
Yeah, it's 1956 too, I believe. It's 1950s, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you're right.
Yeah.
And so basically, some drunk old man just is absolutely ridiculous in the station, and he just randomly decides to stand up and look at the kid, and the kid's just the most nonchalant kid ever.
Yeah, and just asks him, like, are you my grandfather? Because, like, apparently he's never met his grandparents, but he's been sent there by his father.
And so the old dude never answers. Apparently, this guy's known for being a drunk in the train station and has been warned about this before. So you're thinking, like, okay, this could be his grandfather.
Yeah,
and this
he doesn't know.
Be some strange shit.
Yeah.
But nah, it wasn't his grandfather.
Yeah, his grandfather turns out to be this awesome, shitty old man.
The best old man.
Like, I want to be him when I grow up and become depressing. Like, that's a life goal right there.
He's taken the depressed part of life to a new level.
Yeah.
And has grown to accept it and just love it.
Like, if you told me this movie was, like, the inspiration for Get Off My Lawn, I would believe you.
Ooh, I could, yeah.
Yeah, like...
Yeah. He's got a lot of lawn in... Where did he say they were? Like Vermont?
They're in Vermont. They're in like rural Vermont. He's like a farmer or something.
Yeah, butt fuck nowhere.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. The movie kind of just goes all over the place through this kid's life, and his grandfather's a real dick.
And the grandfather and grandmother, when it says they have endless battles, that's kind of an exaggeration because
they just don't deal with each other.
Yeah, they don't talk to each other. The first dinner they have, the only conversation they have while sitting amongst each other is to talk through the kid and say, tell your grandma this or tell your grandpa that. And I was like, dude, you wouldn't be talking to me like that. Like, swerve that.
Oh, the oddest thing is when the kid first gets picked up, he asks his grandfather, what is a French whore?
Oh, yeah. I wrote that down. It was so good, just casually.
And then the grandfather's like, don't worry about it. And then he's just like,
am
I a French whore? And he's like, I'll tell you when I'm older. He doesn't say, no, you are not.
Yeah.
He says, I will tell you when I get older.
I haven't decided yet if you are a French whore or not.
Yeah.
But we're definitely going to find out here in the northern borderlands.
So you basically just see the kid just kind of like struggling to get along with his grandparents. He's constantly mentioning like, my dad's coming home soon.
Yeah.
And for a while, you just kind of think like, oh, his dad's not coming home.
His dad went out for a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
But really, his dad is just apparently depressed because he lost his job.
Yeah, you eventually his father comes home or comes to the grandparents' home.
I don't even understand why he came.
I don't, because you were supposed to pick him up, but then he was just like, nah,
it's cool if I leave him here, right?
And also, the grandfather fucking hates the son.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, if you see the son, you can kind of understand why the grandfather's disappointed in him. He just looks like something you'd be disappointed in.
Yeah, especially once you get to know the grandpa. You're like, excuse my language, but this kid's a pussy. And, like, I don't know. He abandoned all responsibilities for some reason. Like, his son. the biggest responsibility
Yeah.
he has.
Like,
and just left.
Yeah, and it's weird because he sends, like, if you're gonna abandon your kid or your grandparents, why show up in the middle of it and being like, hey, we're gonna leave tomorrow, and then that night be like, hey, Ma,
on the low,
I'm gonna leave in the morning before he wakes up.
Like, don't tell Dad either.
Yeah.
You know?
But like the grandfather and the son, or the grandson, you can tell they try and bond any way they can.
The kid just really enjoys their stories and just kind of getting to know them.
Yeah, like the grandfather is constantly promising, like, hey, I'll take you to the fair soon.
Yeah,
I'll take you to the fair soon. Or, hey, want to go hunting? I'll take you fishing when you're 18, but we can shoot a rifle now.
Like,
stuff like that.
That was super cool. I was like, oh man, teach them how to shoot.
When you're 18, we'll go fishing, but now at 10, we're gonna teach you how to shoot this gun.
Because the grandpa thought you need to learn things that are necessary in life,
and that your pussy father would never teach you.
Yeah, your pussy father would send you to school to learn something.
The son is like, or the son, his father is a professor, and you can tell this farmer just looked down on that. Just like he moved to the city and he's a professor.
He's actually dressed up like, did you see that From Dusk Till Dawn Netflix series?
No, I have not seen that, no.
He's dressed like the one that Quentin Tarantino plays in the movie.
Oh, okay.
In the show.
Yeah.
But not as cool.
Yeah,
Don't get us wrong.
Yeah, this isn't a cool movie. It's an okay movie.
It's good for a movie.
It's fine. As the story progresses, there's talk about bringing electricity to the farm, which brings the rivalry between the grandfather and the grandmother to a new level as she sues him because she's against electricity. And partly because it might tear down some apple trees of hers. Yeah, she's
using her crops as an excuse, but she's just really apprehensive to the idea of electricity.
Yeah, mentioning like how Egyptians didn't have it, so she doesn't need it.
And she's not even Egyptian. She's just like
some old
Jewish, but she like
I was gonna say she's just some old white lady
to Egypt or something.
I have no idea.
I forget. Or she came to America on an Egyptian boat that apparently had tons of mummies right next to her because they were grave digging.
Yeah, but again, like she's Hey Arnold's grandmother, so you don't know what the fuck is true or not.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Yeah. So you shed like you start to understand why the grandfather's like a miserable bastard. Like apparently,
at one point he said like, "Are they down there talking about my shortcomings?" And I was just like, "Damn, old man, what shortcomings do you have?"
Yeah, and then you find out later that like he kind of had someone he was in love with that like passed away.
Yeah, and
then he just like reluctantly
he was married before the grandmother.
And then he just like kind of settled for the grandmother, and they've just been unhappily.
2 months later, just moves and goes and hooks up with the grandma.
Yeah, so he's never been happy about the situation. There's some stuff with the kid, but like the kid's the least interesting part of the story, even though he's the main character.
Yeah, the kid is just there as the way they talk to the kid as a vessel of their voice to talk to the other person. The kid is pretty much there to give us a main character in the middle of their conflict so that we can understand them better.
Yeah. And the kid kind of picks up some of the grandfather's traits of just being kind of cold, of just like, all right, I'm tired of you, old man, so I'm just gonna become a shell. Yeah. Like you are.
And it kind of, the grandma kind of helps him with that too. Because while the grandma and grandpa don't get along, she keeps telling them things like, hey, you're brave. Hey, life lesson, stop doing this. And she'd be really firm with it. Just act like, hey, are you stupid? No, don't do that.
Yeah. There's a lot of like so eventually like they get electricity.
Yeah. The way they talk her into it is they give her a vacuum cleaner. And
yeah.
Like,
no, but
the grandpa won the court case, but he had to promise not to destroy her crops. But she still didn't like it. When they gave her a vacuum cleaner to vacuum the flies away, she was in love with it.
She was into it, but like, okay, so again, we go on to spoilers. Yeah. The vacuum cleaner ultimately kills her.
The vacuum cleaner is her demise.
So reluctant against electricity, and then when she finally gets into it,
she keeps saying, "You won't bring a TV into my house. I won't burn in my sleep."
And then she vacuums herself to death.
To a heart attack, which ultimately leads to death.
And again, to show the grandfather's coldness, like he's just like always off in the den just doing whatever the fuck he's doing. And so the kid's having to take care of the grandmother dying. And the grandmother's like dying, being like, all right, I'm gone. And then the kid's like, oh, grandpa, grandma's dead. What does the grandfather say?
What do you want me to do about it? People die. Get over it. I was like, this was minutes after she died.
Minutes after he died, and the kid comes in there cold, like, hey, grandmother died. And then he just fucking, just like, so what?
So what? That old lady's finally out my fucking house.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna get electricity now even more, or something. Like,
yeah. But somehow he cared more than he gave off to. Cause...
Yeah. I guess he has a shell, and there's something on the inside. I don't think the movie really got too into that. Like, by the time they, like, started to dig at his core... Yeah. We're getting towards like 10 minutes left in the movie, which is a theme we're gonna have in the next movie we talk about, where all the character development happens really tight at the end, to where there's just a lot of stuff in the beginning that's just fluff.
The second the grandpa and grandma start opening up and accept the kid is gonna be here for a while, and the kid's accepting it, that's when the grandma gets the heart attack and everything changes. Like, that's...
Yeah, it's a really depressing movie. Yeah. I mean, we laughed about the vacuum thing. Yeah, like because that was just kind of funny
when it happened. I saw her just doing it, and I was like, "Man, I feel like you're about to die."
Yeah, I did too. She accepted it and was fine, but I don't know. The movie overall just kind of felt a little uneven in parts. Like there was that whole section with that woman came in and she was like a bank robber,
but she was actually the daughter of. She was one of the daughters of the grandparents.
Yeah, but so they introduce a woman, a female character,
totally
randomly, and she's only in it for 10 minutes, and she doesn't really develop anything. Just kind of adds layers to.
I think she was here just to show like this kid's pretty observant, and he's not stupid. He knows.
But again, it's brushed over, and it almost feels like filler.
Yeah, she apparently robbed a bank, but doesn't admit to doing so. But the second the kid talks to her about it, which she calls the house to get picked up from the train when she gets to town. The kid answers after telling her who she is. She asks, "Can you drive?"
Oh yeah, and he just fucking drives like nobody fucking did.
Drove to pick her up, and then when he picks her up, she's in the car with him, and he's still driving.
And he fucking looks like he does this every goddamn day. Like the kid's kind of awesome, but again, he's not really that great of an actor. But
this kid is great. He just got stuck in a shitty situation. Oh yeah, he's not that great an actor.
Yeah, no, he's really uneven.
I don't know if he's acting.
They didn't tell him this is a movie.
No, he's
just reacting.
Story. Yeah, right.
He's a reactor. Like that. That's it.
The reactor.
Yeah.
You think that's like a recycled actor, but nope, he's just a reactor.
Yeah. That's pretty much that. So what did Netflix recommend that score for you? Or their star rating for you?
Netflix gave that a 3. It was not a full 3, but it was pretty close to being a full 3. I personally give it... I'm on the border, man. Like, I want to give it 2 stars because I feel that's right. But in terms of how I felt watching it, I felt engaged. Like, if I had to rate it on Netflix, it would get 3. I would like to see more movies like that. Just hopefully closer to Fly Away Home than some other boring movie. Because this is like the middle ground. It could have gone 2 ways, and I felt like it went the better of the 2.
Yeah, like for me, like Netflix recommended it a 3 1/4 star. It was a little bit past a 3.
Yeah.
I think I'd give it like a 2.5. I feel like it could have kept the 3, but it dragged.
It dragged at times.
It dragged and then ended rapidly.
Yes.
Like the amount of stuff they pack in the last 15-20 minutes kind of just made it just seem like they could have cut out the weird like daughter woman bank robber thing. And
well, she gave him money. Like she gave him a big portion of that money that she
but
stole
even
from
then
the
like I don't feel like that added anything to the story.
Well,
it took a chunk of time out.
Yeah, it didn't add to the story. It just once you hear that the grandma left that kid all the college funds in her will too, you like, damn, it's this kid is rich.
Yeah,
now.
And he didn't need it. He didn't need the bank robber's money at this point.
Yeah, the second he's getting used to like living a humble life and not in the city, she's like, here's all this money.
Yeah. So like I think I'd give that like a solid 2.5.
Yeah, that's fair.